Hi. Sorry about that. We're going to try this again. We're going to keep going. We got another caller. Let me see if I can get the caller in here.
Are we in the same chat or are we in a different chat?
We're in a new one. Hey, caller, what's your name? How much have you had to drink so far?
Hello?
Hello, how you doing?
Chris?
Yeah.
Chris and Sandman. I'm on. This is easier than I thought. My name is Tony Anthony Barani, and I live in the Chicago metro area, specifically Hinsdale, Illinois. I don't know if you're familiar with Chicago.
I know where you're at. Yeah, I know where you're at.
Yeah, and I am a diehard Lions fan. I'm so proud of that team. I am so proud of that team. Oh. And, what really, when Dan Campbell came out with that news back January of 21, that's what turned it for me. And every Bear fan called him a goon. Gene Greco here in Chicago, who was a popular sportscaster, a Channel 7 ABC affiliate, called him a goon. I told everybody, watch out for Lions now. And what I said then has come to fruition.
Yeah. I absolutely I agree. I mean, this it's incredible. And so what's it like to be a Lions fan suffering like in Chicago like that?
Well, I don't know what the Bears did today, but I'm going to tell you something. Where I live, I am 18 miles due west of downtown Chicago. As a matter of fact, from my condo, I can see the sky. I wear Lions gear, and I work in downtown Chicago on the street in Chicago. And I have cop friends and Cook County sheriff friends who always say, kiddingly, of course, if they're going to arrest you for indecent exposure. But I wear this stuff, and you know what? The reactions a lot. I mean, they're from either Bear fans or Green Bay fans, which is what you have here in Chicago. To be a Lions fan in Chicago, you're a persona non grata. You're like a leper. For one reason or another, and I don't know if it's team rivalry or a city rivalry, but to be a Detroit fan of any way, shape, and form, it's just not acceptable. All of a sudden, it's acceptable to be a Green Bay fan, but not a Lions fan. But I get a lot of good reactions from the Bears fans when I wear my gear.
That's so crazy. I don't get why the Bears or Bears fans would have a thing against Detroit or Detroit fans, but I know from direct reports they're absolute meatheads at Soldier Field. Like, that's the worst place to go see a game.
Yep, it is.
Well, I mean, I really wanted to, although I wasn't really able to get in, but I would have loved to have. I really would have loved to have been at Soldier Field when the Lions were here. I'll be honest with you, I don't know if I would have worn my Lions here. I mean, I would have been a perfect. I mean, that's what they're like. That's their attitude. I mean, anyway.
Yep.
But I'm so happy for the Lions, and I know you got a lot of other callers, but I don't want to hog you on it. But this is such a wonderful thing for me to call in because Chris, I listen to you so much. Now, listen to other podcasts too. And but you're the first guy I go to after the game, and I guess you enjoy listening.
Well, I appreciate you, man. Thanks for giving us a shot. Your first time, it's always like, I'll give it a look, and then sticking with it and kind of getting with it. Go ahead. No, it's once you kind of get into it and go with it, and then you start to get used to some of the inside jokes and stuff too, right? I mean, it's the nature of a beast, and it's the nature of like an audience like this. You build things, inside jokes and things over time as that people kind of like and enjoy and kind of share with each other. And sometimes it's hard to kind of step into a community that's already existing. And it's great that you picked up and jumped in and had fun, man. I really appreciate that you spent some time with us.
Well, thank you so. Thank you. And can I say one more thing? You know, the irony of all this rivalry between the Lions and two cities that I'm extremely familiar physically and historically and demographically with Detroit, as well as I am with Chicago. These two cities are so similar in so many ways, and too many ways to go into now, obviously. And that's the irony of it. I think that's part of it, too. So I'm not saying. I just wanted to say that. And keep going, and I'm going to look forward to calling you again, and I love your podcast.
Appreciate you, man. Really do. Thank you so much for calling and joining us. All right. We'll see you. All right. There you go. Well, that's really nice. I typically, I mean, it's nice to hear, right? But I don't solicit.
I don't know if you can say that, but you solicit a little on the side. I've seen you down in Mobile after a few drinks. I've seen it.
Just sticking the leg around the corner a little bit of. Hey there, you want to shave a little something?
We've gotten cabs we had no business getting because Chris was there.
The bustling metropolis of Mobile, Alabama. Hey, I saw a couple people hit the Patreon. Thank you guys and gals so much. Patreon.com/Detroit Lions Podcast. No, it's not. Yeah, that is it. Patreon.com/Detroit Lions Podcast. I tell you, you talk about a great community. The Slack chat is the most intelligent Lions chat on the internet. Smart people, good conversations, a lot of fun. You got to do $5 a month for the Patreon to make that work, and we'll get you access to the chat. You'll get an email. It takes a little bit, sometimes right away, sometimes a couple hours, but you can email to the email you have signed up with Patreon, and they'll give you your invite into the chat. And there's Lions chat, there's beer, there's food. You name it. It's all there. You got Andy, you got Riz, you got me, you got Case in there, you got Ash in there. It's a great, great place with a lot of really, really great people. And it's one of the things that I'm the most proud and happy of from this podcast is that community. It's really a wonderful group of people. So check it out. Like I said, $5 a month, patreon.com/Detroit Lions Podcast. I haven't signed up lately. I forget. It's like try to remember your own phone number.
It's been a while,
So I missed this, but was this a loss for the Bears today to the Eagles? I have to imagine it was.
I believe so. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
So the Packers had a bye week. Minnesota pulled one out, and they now own the division. Fine, whatever. But we're 7-7, bud. 7-7.
Can you believe it? Holy smokes.
We could be 10-7 by the time this is all over, Sandman.
That would be one of the craziest things I've ever experienced as a Lions fan. We've seen 10 wins before. Fairly recently, I guess, in the scheme of things. But Fairly. But not like this. Not like we've seen the reverse of this. We've seen the Cardinals go out and start 7-1 and then lose out. But you don't see this too often where teams lose a bunch of games and then somehow swing it back.
Yeah.
And that's a testament to Dan Campbell and the staff and, especially the way they did it. When you're firing your defensive back coach mid-year, when you're trading a top offensive weapon mid-year to a division rival nonetheless, and then you do this? That's pretty wild.
Think about that. That is people were talking about Hawkinson like he was Kittle material, right? And then you have Pleasant, who and I met his dad. His dad was a wonderful man. Was such a genuinely wonderful person, and had some really kind words for me directly. Knew who I was. It was weird. But it was super. I was blown away at how awesome it was. It's football. That's all I can say, right? That's all I know. But for Aubrey Pleasant to go and Hawkinson to go like rapid fire like that, and a team, how is it addition by subtraction? It's what Jamie Collins was when he went away. Yep. It was Aylin when he went away, who's over in San Fran doing super well, right? That's the thing, and that's why I feel like Aubrey Pleasant has a good place to go, and he can land on his feet and do really, really well, like Aylin did. It truly is a fit thing. It's not that they're not good coaches or whatever else. it looks like it's truly a fit thing. Hawkinson, I never realized it, and I have made this kind of thing as work ended for the year for me on Friday, so I have some time now to focus. That's one of the things why we're kicking this new software and all this stuff up. But to take some time and really look at some of these stats, because nobody out there realized that TJ Hawkinson was basically Eric Ebron. Their stats were almost identical. How did we miss that? How did we miss that? Man.
It's one of those things that, once Hawkinson was traded, I couldn't help but remember when Hawkinson had some sort of interview, I think, and he mentioned how he was walking through the hallway and Bob Quinn was walking the opposite direction, and he looked over at TJ with his long hair and his crazy attitude or whatever you want to call it.
Those young kids
you're not the guy who I drafted. I would argue you don't take a tight end at number 8 overall anytime, but
that's not a bad argument. No, and the thing, like I talked about it in a video, and people, you can love it or hate it. You don't like the message or the messenger, that's fine. But I know the facts are real. He wasn't working. He wasn't committed. And I think that's how you can trade a guy like that. And then you start looking at the numbers on it, right? And not just the stats, but the numbers for what he's going to want from a contract. They've been talking to him. It's not like they were quiet and hadn't had any conversations. You've heard what he wants. Send him over to Minnesota in a year when Minnesota is supposed to win it all. Give him the big lunk of money, the big anchor, and let them run with it. And you get the picks, which are great. Also, now you look at where things are, and Minnesota doesn't seem to be what they, were what they were. It's a P word. What they were supposed to be. What they were proposed to be.
Proposed to be, yeah.
Purported. That's the word. What they were purported to be. I know it was a P word. And then they've got saddled. I don't want to say that so much, but I mean they've probably got better options for Hawkinson than were available in Detroit. We'll see. And we got those picks, and all of a sudden you start thinking about, we've got a quarterback. We're pretty good at our wide receiver. Our O-line is pretty good. I mean, when you really think about what are you going to address in the draft, it's like, well, corner, safety, line, and it's like, I've got all high picks for those. Those are all starters that I'm going to get.
Yep. I have, and we're talking about playoffs right now, so I don't want to get too deep into any of this, but when we talk about what the Lions are going to be doing with all these draft picks that they have, the 2 firsts, the 2 seconds, I think people are thinking, oh, well, the first one you got to get the defensive line guy, and then the next one you can get a cornerback. I don't think the Lions think like that. Yeah. I think that the Lions are going to look at high-value targets that they want in this draft, and we're going to get 2 picks instead of 4, or 1 instead of 4, where they're going to do something to move and get the guy that they want, because that's the way Brad Holmes has run his drafts. He didn't wait to see where Jameson Williams was going to fall. He went and got him. That's like they ran up to hand in, Penei Sewell's pick, and they ran up to put in the Hutch pick, because those are guys that they really wanted. They really just don't feel like a team that's going to be like, we need a cornerback. He's the best one on the board. Let's grab him up.
Really quick point out of the chat. I got to say, Jason Malloy, wide right 4 in a row. That's really got to suck. Bye-bye. All right. Sorry. Back. Oh, man. That's so funny. That's a good time. Anyway, so let's talk about what the future holds with this team. It does. I mean, we've got the Rams pick, and we've got the performance of the team, and it's really kind of crazy, because you think about it, you're talking about a really high draft pick, and you're talking about potential playoffs, and the 2 at the same time. You're used to the high draft pick talk, right? That's kind of the space where you're comfortable as a Lions fan.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah.
And then, but there's this other thing, and I don't want to jinx it, so I don't want to talk about it. But it's looming out there, right? It's staring at me as like, well, gosh. So we've got those things going on. Well, I talked earlier, like, oh, my big fear. I'm going to Mobile and I'm flying on Sunday, and the game's going on, and I can't watch the Lions game because I'm in flight or whatever. Not going to happen. If it happens, you know what? I'll embrace the schnot out of it. I will absolutely enjoy that.
Time to just pay for a new flight, Chris.
Yeah, maybe so. But it really does feel like next year is the year where this team is going to start the massive push, where it's really going to come together. And it's funny because Ash said something that was really, really, I think, smart about rebuilds in the NFL. After year two, you know if it's going to work. There's no screwing around. You know if your GM is getting your guys and the plan's going to work, because it is a pretty quick turnaround league. You just know. And if you think about the empty cupboards that were handed over to Holmes and Campbell to start this, and everyone's saying year zero. I don't know who came up with year zero. I mean, whenever I've heard year zero or a step zero in project land, that's always because, well, we were too ambitious. We kind of fucked up. We're gonna call this one step zero and then go to step one, right?
Yeah.
So the whole year zero thing was like, okay, we're kind of making excuses or whatever, or kind of changing the narrative. We're going to be at the end of year two here. I don't know. Maybe you could even say now, before the end of year two, and you look at this and you say, I think this is going to work. I mean, I'm feeling pretty confident that right now this is going to work, and it's going to get us to be a real contender. Is it going to get us a Super Bowl? I mean, if that's what working is, I don't know. But it's going to give us the best chance of getting one in my entire life that I can remember. Yep. That's where my head's at, Andy. I'm not sure if I'm talking crazy here.
No. I think when you were talking about how the cupboards were bare for this team, when they came in, I would argue that the roster was comparable to the 0-win team roster.
Oh, yeah.
It was bad. The turnaround from that roster 1 year ago to this roster is incredible. That's an insane turnaround. A lot of people are like, oh, well, the Jets were just as bad. Now look at them. The Jets were not in the same category as the Lions talent-wise.
Not at all.
I think they've hit in the right spots. They've gotten free agent guys that have come in and really made a difference. Anal Zone, Bugs. All these guys have come in and kind of found their Anal Zone Bugs combo. But they found their stride here. And the broadcast kind of talked about it, where they were saying, Khalif Raymond really was kind of bouncing around. He was on practice squads, but he found a place here.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's what the Lions are kind of doing.
We didn't talk about the return. Oh my God, Khalif Raymond, the return!
It was so routine. He scored one.
When's the last time we had a punt return or a kickoff return for a touchdown?
I think it's been a minute. Well, didn't Khalif do one 2 years ago? Maybe not. Either way, that punt was so bad. I watched it. I watched him catch it, and I thought that's going to be really bad for them. And the blocking was just fantastic. Dave Phipp, what a man. What a man that Dave Phipp is. Killing it. His blocking schemes are perfect. He's got all of his guys ready to go. I didn't get to be on the podcast last week, but the other big return he had last week, the other big one, where all of our defensive starters were still out on the field because they thought they might have been a fake. So all of our defensive starters are still out there, and they got it done. The guys that don't play special teams ever. Jeff Okuda was out there. Hutchinson was out there. What are you talking about? What are those guys doing? Dave Phipp, the man, the myth, the legend, is getting everybody ready to play.
Yeah.
Crushed.
Oh, God. And Phip, dude, I so wish you were there to see him last year at the Senior Bowl. He came up to the mixing board and the sound board, and he's like, "What's this button?" And he had we had Campbell doing that. You've had enough of that shit, right? Which one was it? I got it over here. I think this
You've
one.
had enough of that shit.
And he's like, "Oh, I love that," and he hit it like 15 times in a row. He's like, he was going to town. My guy has such a great personality. He is so cool. And then he started asking technical questions. How does this work? Now, what do you do with this? Now, what? He was ready to start a podcast. He was going to set up at the table next to us and start doing special teams talk or something. I don't know. But he's such a cool, easy to root for dude. And then just the results he's getting, right? I mean, and I think back again, people were like crying over Braden Coombs going away, like, because he's not listening to the coach. And you think back over the years, too many guys on the field, not enough guys on the field. What in the heck is going on? Special teams was a shit show, right? And Phip has got this thing like a finely tuned German Swiss watch. Sorry, it's a Swiss watch.
Ooh, swish.
Swish. It's a little swishy. Oh man, it's great. I'm loving it. I can't believe I forgot about the return. I mean, that's huge, right? I mean, that was such a great play.
And we can talk about how the Lions got stuffed at 4th and half a yard. But honestly, going for it there makes sense because the Jets' defense was so bad and it paid off.
Yeah.
That's one of those decisions that, people will say, yeah, obviously you go for that. But it leads to things like the punt return touchdown. Just gives your team that opportunity. And also, even if he wouldn't have done it, Goff would have scored on that drive anyway. So
yeah. That we got down there a lot and didn't score. That was a little tough. That was the red. This is not the red zone performance we've seen from this team throughout the rest of the year. Doesn't matter. They got it done, and this is that team win, and it could have been a team loss because across the board they weren't performing. And we'll go back and hit that because we had to start a new stream. Sorry, a little boo boo on the Windows 11. Don't go past it. Don't just stay with Windows 10 forever. But they the Jared Goff can't play unless everyone's running perfect around him. Myth busted. Right? Yep. There was so many drops out there today, so many problems. The team still got it done. I don't want to say Goff got it done. The team got it done because it's a team game. It's not a one-person game. If the quarterback was the guy that could get it done, then the Lions would have won playoff games with Matthew Stafford. And I'm just making the comparison because he's the last guy and everybody loved him so much. And then he went on and won a Super Bowl when he was surrounded by more talent than Goff ever was. In San Diego, oh my God, in LA, it's incredible. It's incredible. So to see these guys come together as a team, and I think this is one of the other parts about it is not just that we talk about them coming together as a team, but high, low, whatever. They're always there shoulder to shoulder, whether they're rocking it out on offense and defense is having trouble or vice versa. They're all there together. I remember last week, Jerry, down there when the Lions had the big play on offense, he went and he shook every offensive lineman, running back, quarterback's hand. He was cheering them on for what they did. That's good to see guys running across the ball from each other like that are cheering each other on and really backing each other up. That's good. That's good. That was good stuff.
Absolutely.
Oh, man. All right. Let's see. Make sure I got everything covered. Fanatics.DetroitLionsPodcast.com. Get your jerseys. Get all your good stuff. Fanatics.DetroitLionsPodcast.com. You want to look sexy out there with your Lions gear? You're going to New York. You beat both fucking teams. Put your Lions gear on. Fanatics.DetroitLionsPodcast.com. Jerseys, hoodies, memorabilia, all that stuff. You like U of M ahead of TCU? Go get it. They got their stuff there. You want to be a Rings fan, a Pistons fan? It's all available. Tigers, you still got some time there, but all that stuff's available for you. It's at fanatics.DetroitLionsPodcast.com. They give a little bit of the cut to us to help support the show and help us do the Senior Bowl and all the stuff we do to try to make this better. Part of the 4K upgrade, trying to get there for you guys. And gals, there you go. Also, Amazon.DetroitLionsPodcast.com. Those guys help us out, and doesn't cost you more. They just put a little in our thing. Amazon.DetroitLionsPodcast.com. Get your last minute gifts. Amazon.DetroitLionsPodcast.com. Spitting. All right. What do you think, brother? Do we think we have it?
I think we did it. Two streams in one day.
Do we have plans? Do we have plans for a live stream when the Lions in the Super Bowl this year, Robbie? Robbie, we will stream live if the Lions are in the Super Bowl. I guarantee we will put something together. And I don't care if it's just me in my living room wetting my pants. We will come up with something. We've had some chatter about like what do you do in that case, right? What do you do about the Super Bowl? Is it something you just like? My wife's like, I just want to enjoy it with the family. I'm going to be too nervous. I'm like, I can't. I can't. I love your family, right? But this is a social event. We got to get this going on. So, we got places we go. So don't worry, living room stream show. No, we'll do it. We'll do it like we do our training camp party. We'll go somewhere. Like we're going to do the draft. We'll go somewhere where everyone can come and hang out, have some drinks, and do some good stuff. That's coming up. There's some other interesting stuff. What happened to the intelligent people in the last chat? We had a great shakeout, and when it's free.
The great flood came and took the stream away.
That's hilarious. If they're ever in the Super Bowl, hell, I'm going. It's funny. I've thought about that. Do you want to experience the Super Bowl in person? I think the second one I do.
I feel like you have to, but I would be a nervous wreck.
Yeah.
It's one of those you're going to pay so much money to potentially see your team lose and get your heart broken. In the worst way.
Yeah.
That's a painful thing. But let's worry about the playoffs first. Let's get to the playoffs. People are talking about, the last game at Lambeau could be a must-win for the Lions. It's also possible that we beat Carolina, we beat the Bears, and the other teams crap the bed, and we're basically guaranteed no matter what happens. Yeah. How nice would that be? Easy peasy Week 17.
To rest at Lambeau. Think about that.
The rest game where they're resting guys, we're resting guys. Who cares?
No, they're not, though. That's the thing. They're playing for pride. That's the difference. Remember, we go to Lambeau at the end of the year. How many times? Why are we always there for the last game? And like last year, they sat all the starters the second half of the game, and they're like, we didn't win. It doesn't matter. We sat our guys. The next year, to put the shoe on the other foot, can you imagine how freaking fabulous that would be? Oh, Mark, if you're a nervous wreck watching the regular season, brother, playoffs are going to be. I remember the 91 season. I was still a young pup, but boy, that one, the heart was racing. It's tough. Mr. 86, it's already a successful season. You're absolutely right, 100%. This is something I think we all have to kind of sit back now because we all move the goalposts. Right? Yep. We all continue to do it because we all want more from this team, and we all want a Super Bowl this year. And let's be honest, Andy, if they get in, anything's possible. I mean,
honestly, if I'm in the NFC, I do not want to see the Detroit Lions. I don't.
No.
I don't want to see them. I like, you could argue that our chances of beating the 49ers are pretty slim because that team is really good. But
that Purdy kid,
I still don't want to see the Lions. If I'm anybody else, they're gritty, they play hard, their style of football is mauling. So your guys are going to get beat up, win or lose. Your guys are going to get beat up, and I don't know, and I think there's something special about being that team. It's kind of like the Giants in 2007 were that team. They came on late. And their defense was fantastic. It's kind of different for us, but like you really didn't want to see them, and then they kind of just rolled through.
Well, and you talk about like how good people's defense are, and you can say, no Quentin Williams this week, whatever. That offensive line has dominated no matter who they've played, sick, hurt, fully healthy. It doesn't matter. The Detroit Lions offensive line is for real. And San Fran's a very good team, absolutely. And I'm not looking past them by any stretch, but those guys have to get past that line to get to Goff, and that's not an easy task. And I think that's underrated because if Goff gets the time,
and that's if it like the Jets have a very good defensive line, even without Quentin Williams in it.
Yeah,
they're very good. And Jared Goff had hours to throw
Yeah.
for the most part. There was a couple plays where he was pressured or whatever, but I mean, he also had a couple plays where he could sit back there for 4, 5, 6 seconds, that's just crazy, Tom.
But they have Sauce Gardner. I mean,
their coverage was good enough to cause that.
Yeah. But I mean, even then, here's the situation. You have an offensive line that gives you the time, and then you're having trouble against those cornerbacks. But again, as a team, they put enough points on the board to win it against a defense that is that good. That should really bode well for Lions fans. I mean, they can do that. The Lions can come out against a really good team and score points, and that's important. It's been our defense that's been the question early in the season more than now. The way we've contained the run game, like you've said, is just incredible. So it's now, I mean, you start thinking about like that cornerback position and the safety, and boy, when they're on, they're on. When they are on, they are on. Today was a funny kind of game, though.
Sure.
JMO, Crazy Clown, they need to find out a way to use Jameson Williams. Looks like he may be too fast for Goff's throws and arms. No, we talked about that early in the first part of the first stream. One of JMO's things that he does is, a lot of wide receivers, like a Thielen, other than his cuts, he's full speed. JMO will take it at 75% and then burst at 100, or slow down like he's going to make a cut and then blow out of that. His vertical speed is not just about speed, it's about changing speed and being able to create vertical separation with his changes of speeds, as well as horizontal separation with his cuts. And his separation that he got in that throw, that is absolutely a communications thing with him and Goff. When Goff gets used to the way he slows and runs, because he's very, very special. I don't know another wide receiver out there that moves like him in that way. I think you're going to see some really, really good work of these guys as they start to connect.
Yeah, and I think people, look at Jameson Williams and, like, oh, well, he's been back for a couple of weeks. And while that's true, he didn't really practice until a couple of weeks ago either. So we're talking about, a quarterback in Jared Goff who literally has probably very few reps with this guy getting game action. I don't know if they're trying to baby him along still slightly or not, but they just don't have enough reps. And Goff kind of talked about it during his press conference today, that like when Khalif comes out, I have a ton of reps with Khalif. I feel very comfortable with him. He probably doesn't feel very comfortable with Jameson Williams, and that makes sense. Honestly, it does. So, I think that they do need to they're going to have to develop that, and hopefully sooner than later, but I think it's a little hard to develop it in 3-4 weeks, however long he's been healthy enough to practice.
Yep. David Gerald, the throw to Goff was clearly underthrown to Williams. Thankfully, it wasn't intercepted. And I'll let Sandman run with this because he's the one that woke me up to it, and it was absolutely right. It was like the 10-yard line that GMO broke to get, and so let me say, you're right if you take a snapshot of when the ball arrived, okay? But you have to think about these things over time, and what happens is you wind up with a situation where he breaks free around the 10-yard line, he gets open, quarterback sees it, throws the ball, right? It's got to travel downfield, and then by the time it travels downfield and gets to JMO, Reed is able to react to it and get in the thing. The problem is if he throws it where it's supposed to be, it's going to be out the back of the end zone. It's going to be really, really hard. And that's where that shift in speed and him using those changes in speed to get there is, I think, where they have to get used to each other. Again, with that picture, that snapshot in the moment, ball was underthrown. Yep, that sure was. But if you think about it and watch it over time, go watch the All-22. When he gets open and then when he doesn't, and you'll see. Now, that ball, you'll see.
And that's part of the trust thing, too, is that, knowing that Jameson Williams can change that speed, and maybe he doesn't look super open right now, but he will be.
Yep.
That's kind of one of those things that you have to learn. But for Goff, he has to see him open first.
Yeah.
And he didn't get open until kind of late, and then Goff also had to climb in the pocket. I think he
that's the trust, 15
feet forward before the throw just to get out of the pocket. And so, it's like, that's a throw that you wish you could get, but in reality, that's a really tough throw to make. That's like an Aaron Rodgers peak throw.
That's a trust throw,
that's
bro.
Hard.
When they know each other, he will throw that to the back of the end zone to catch it. You know what I mean? He will do that, but it's because he knows him, and they'll know how each other's working, right? It just wasn't. I'm not worried about it. I'm not worried about it.
Yeah, when we start to see underthrow, like massive, horrible underthrows on, regular deep balls that aren't being defended by the back of the end zone, then I'll be a little more concerned.
You can't just throw it and he's going to catch it, right? There's more to it than just throwing it and he'll run under it. And we'll see. Now, we'll see. It's probably, we're not going to, hopefully by the end of the year, we'll see good changes in that. Because I think if we see those changes this year, I think we'll see that. But if we get to week 2, week 4 of next year, and we see that throw right there, I'm 100% with you. We've got a serious problem that has to be cured. And that's,
yeah. But I think with time, Goff will learn. It's better to overthrow Williams because he can get under it than it is to underthrow him. And like we saw that with Stafford too, he would underthrow Calvin Johnson on purpose.
Yeah, because
it's like I would rather give him the opportunity than to accidentally overthrow him where he's definitely not going to catch it.
And you get the PI all the time when you underthrow. That's part of it too. So it is what it is. We'll get there. We'll see what happens. But I think it's too early to be jury out. But I think there's things to watch for sure. So. All right. With that, we've been going a long time. 2 streams, man. We really put it all in tonight.
Big time, 2 streams.
Appreciate everyone for the love and the help and working with us through some of the little issues we got. And like I said, this is brand new software we're testing out, but I think there's some really, really good stuff we're going to be able to do with this. And I think we're going to drop all that money on it. We'll get it to work. We'll make it work really well. But I think this is something. This is key to like the 4K upgrade that we've talked about over the time. This, I think, in the next, it's probably not more than 2 weeks that we'll start broadcasting when we go from the regular studio in 4K, and you'll see. I mean, look how beautiful Sandman looks there. I mean, if you've seen Jeff, this is a huge upgrade in video quality. Hey, Sandman, when do we think Slow Lights will be up?
Give me about 6 minutes or something. I don't know.
What? Are you kidding me?
No. I've been working on it this whole time while I couldn't talk to callers,
Right. No, that's probably good.
No, it'll be out before the end of the day.
Okay. So watch that. Sandman7773, 3 7s and a 3, on YouTube. The Slow Lights are the best. And seriously, this is one of the places where I picked up the most as I started looking at offensive line play. It is so great to see this happen. You see so many nuances of what the O-line and the D-line are doing when you watch it at speed, and it's one of the things that I absolutely used as I was really starting to study and starting to understand a lot of that work. And this game, I mean, if you can somehow when you do it, Sandman, highlight that Jonah Jackson stance thing.
I have so many pictures on my phone right now. Jonah Jackson stance. I might even be able to show it in the chat real quick. Let me pull one up.
There you go.
There we go. Let's see if you can see that. He's like standing up.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah.
He was doing that all game. That's not, literally, if your guard is doing that, you're not running the football. Right. Because your guard's not going to get any push out of that stance. Even Taylor Decker is lower in his stance than Jonah Jackson, the guard, is. And this is right before the ball snapped. This isn't a cherry-picked timing thing. But, just really wild.
Yeah.
But you'll see it. Oh, you'll see it if on all of the offensive plays.
Uh-oh.
You'll be like, what the heck?
This is going to have to be it, I think, Sandman, because I lost my... Here, I'll show folks really quick, just since we're on here. We'll see who calls who first. Oh, there we go. Just kind of in my ear here, right here, you'll see... That's where I hear Sandman from, the AirPod on my regular phone. We're doing a phone call because there's just got a little bit of mixing thing going on. So I got him in this year, and then because my phone has Skype on it, which I didn't realize until the people started calling in, it started ringing in that ear with Sandman talking, but then they can't. It's been such a mess, man. I'm like, My brain doesn't operate at that kind of capacity, but with that, we're gonna call it a show. Sandman, thanks for sticking around a long time and do this. You know me, love you, long time. Don't forget about us on Patreon, patreon.com/Detroit Lions Podcast, patreon.com/Detroit Lions Podcast. As little as $5 a month will get you access to the best community, the most intelligent Lions chat on the internet, our Slack chat. Get in there, do that, and have fun with some of the cool people. You'll have a good time. Also, follow us on Twitter at DET Lions Podcast, DET Lions Podcast, and at Sandman7773, Sandman7773. Some of the most raucous, sexy, pants-free times you're going to have on Twitter. And they're not going to ban these. Give us a call via Skype, Detroit Lions Podcast, all one word, Detroit Lions Podcast, or call us in the Lions line at 929, that's not it anymore, 248-782-8384, 248-782-8384, or it's also 248-RUB-YOU-FUG. That's it. Be sure to go to DetroitLionsPodcast.com, subscribe to the podcast. What happens when they subscribe, Andy?
We show up into your ears automatically.
That's right. Thank you for tuning in. We're going to see you next time on the Detroit Lions Podcast. Remember, no pants, no toasters, no hot tubs, no problems, because we are your Detroit Lions and Reddit connection. God, I hope this button